All right, stand by. Roll sound.
Speed.
Roll camera.
Speeding.
Slate.
Scene one, take one, mark.
And action. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Burnie's Applebox. Got an awesome show today with my bro, and we are going to cover so much material today. One of the funnest, best people I know in the business. Bump me, Stone. There you go, Dwight Stone. And Dwight, pleasure to see you here, my friend.
Pleasure to be here.
We have known each other for, I'm going to guess, 8 years minimum.
I was going to say 7, 8 years, something like that.
Yeah. I think so. And of course, due to social media, we have stayed in touch all these years, and you're kind of a famous grip guy in Los Angeles.
In a way, right? Yeah.
You know, I mean, fame is a whole different. I think it almost needs to be redefined now, right? I mean, you can be famous or a celebrity in small circles that are pretty intense.
Yeah.
And you have a name for yourself, and I think both of us have sort of established that during our career.
Yeah. Fame used to be something that was reserved for a literal few people.
Yes.
And now, like, you meet so many people that are famous, but not to everyone.
Right, and within the circle.
Yeah.
But you and I could sit here and name off guys in our industry that are pretty well known. They're out there. I mean, but in that little world, in that little sort of Hollywood grip, DP world, and now it's not just in Hollywood anymore. I mean, it has so much spread as it always has.
Yeah.
But people are still in that group. That is pretty fun, and I know you have had your moniker Grip Nerd.
Yeah.
You did so much with that, and it became so synonymous with you. It was one of the best like handles I've seen somebody put on themselves.
And it was really just I was really sick of having the email address dwightestone at gmail.com and having everyone forget the E and having some poor schmuck in Florida get all of my call sheets. Yeah. That I was like, I need to figure out a website to have, and I'm a huge nerd. So the fact that I didn't have a website for, the first 30 years of my life was just crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I need a website. What's going to be? Well, what are there things about myself that I could, And I was like, well, I'm a grip and I'm a nerd. And just match those two words together.
Bingo.
Yeah, and then the tagline along with it, grip for hire, nerd for free. Just kind of came along with that.
That spells out what you do.
Yeah.
You're a grip for hire, you're a nerd for free. You're a nerd 24/7.
Yes.
You're a grip when they hire you and you're on set.
And I'm a nerd about grip. Like I get very into the minutiae.
Yes, you are. Yes. Yeah. In fact, we're going to talk today, and I think this is something you're here, well, because you're a cool guy. Number one.
Yeah.
But you wrote a piece on Facebook that I read, and it was about you had made a conscious decision that most people never do, and that is you are going to leave the business.
I'm out.
You're out. You're out.
Yeah, it was something that I had been thinking about for a long, long time.
Okay.
I would say as early as 5 years into my career. And I've been working for 12, 13 years or so.
Yep.
As early as like 5 years in, I started thinking I don't see myself doing this forever. Mm-hmm. Like physically, I don't see myself doing it forever. I had run into enough grips at that point that were broken, knees banged up, and just
it's
can't
a brutal
business. Move anymore.
It's a brutal business.
And we do reasonably physical work. So I was like, okay, number one, even if I'm in really good shape, I'm only going to do it so long. And then also I have aspirations to maybe have a family one day. That would be a good thing. Sure. And I couldn't imagine, and a lot of people do it, and I always feel bad when I say this.
I know what you're going to say.
But I don't want to only see my kids on the weekends.
If that.
Yeah, if that. If the work schedule lines up like that.
Yeah.
And, so.
I think this is a very, very tough business on family.
Yeah.
I think that's just the bottom line. Whether I was married just 3-4 years ago, and understood it intellectually before that,
Yeah.
but I understand it emotionally now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is very tough, and it's really, honestly, to be just frank with it, it's tough on the party who's left out. Like,
Yeah.
it's not tough on me because I have someplace where I love the set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love my life, but my wife is sitting home
Without you.
without you evening after evening.
Yeah.
And I won't, my wife is an angel, but there is a point where I think resentment does come in,
Yeah.
and I think feeling neglected comes in, and I think that happens in our business to a lot of people, whether it's a wife or children or even other relatives and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's very perceptive
Yeah.
to understand that.
So at some point between like 5 years in and 2 years ago, I went from being like someday to, and this is probably my sister's fault. My sister had 2 kids, and I originally never thought family was going to be that important to me.
Yeah.
And she had a daughter named Hope and a son named Elliot. They're 2 and 5, and they're adorable. And very quickly, only going home twice a year was not enough.
Not seeing him enough.
Yeah. And so it very much became like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to stop waiting to do it, because the longer I wait, the older I get, the harder it's going to be to transition.
Yes.
And so I was like, let's look at actually doing this. Like, let's put that to the test. And if I am actually going to do it, I need to do it. If I'm not, I need to stop thinking about doing it and start committing to life here.
Yes.
And not living as a migrant still.
Yeah.
You know
First of
what I
all,
mean?
where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
part?
Lancaster County, home of the Amish.
Oh, Lancaster.
Well, you're being he's baiting me. So people from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, say Lancaster.
Lancaster.
And we can tell when people are not from the area and they say Lancaster.
Well,
but then when I moved out here, there is a place called Lancaster, and people call it Lancaster, and that's it.
well, and hence, you'll like this story, considering Lancaster. When I was 2 years old, my father was in the sheriff's department, and he was a guard out at the prison, so I lived in Lancaster until I was 6. So I jumped on that because the first time I worked with you, I heard you correct somebody. No, it's Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Lancaster, yeah. And so I've just held that all these years.
In your back pocket.
In my back pocket, waiting for you. I want to talk more about this, but also I'm interested because you lived an experience that people dream about, and some people have actually come up and done, and that is, I'm moving to LA to get in the production business.
Yeah.
And
You want to hit the rewind button. You're going to go back to the beginning of the story. We do the magic editing of flashback.
Yes, I am going back to the beginning.
And
but I want to hear, because I think that, obviously people have different experiences when they come out. I want to go through and walk that through with you because it's in your past now, and you've also sort of have put a timestamp on the end of it. You know what I mean? So you have an arc to talk about. Let's talk about the very first, what inspired you to come out?
After high school, I got accepted to a college that was relatively prestigious, not crazy, but on delayed admission. So I actually spent a year just working. Went to college for a year and a half, and I was studying general communications. I had the dream of going and videotaping missionaries, doing what they're doing in other countries to help them get support when they come back.
Right.
But very quickly, I realized how boring that is.
Okay.
Like how boring that style of work is. And it was somebody in the class that was seniors when I was a freshman that was doing a narrative style project, which the school did not make you do it all. He was just like, I want to do a thesis project. They were like, you don't have to do it. He's like, I don't care. Like, I want to do a thesis project.
Do it. Yeah.
So he did this narrative thing, which was super interesting, fell into the trap of most short films and ended up being 45 minutes long. But it was super interesting, and working on it was instantly like, this is what I want to do.
That grabbed you.
Yeah,
That
I was like,
grabbed you.
and so I spent the next semester, I was at the end of my first year. I spent the next semester kind of in denial about what I wanted to do. And at some point I was like, okay, you need to just do this.
Yeah.
And so I dropped out of school with the intention of moving to California and doing film school. But I was gonna stay back home and work and save up some money to help pay for film school. Totally didn't do that. Saved up enough to pay for,
Which is very difficult.
I mean, especially when you're young and
Yeah.
and you're not making that much
So
money to
many
begin with. I was working in a
distractions,
warehouse, and but they saved up enough money to put a decent down payment on a car that I made sure was 50 state emissions compliant, so I could take it out here to California.
Oh, awesome.
And then I came out knowing that I wanted to go to LA Film School. I had flown out here to meet a friend from the college I went to. He took me around and showed me New York Film Academy, LA Film School, UCLA, USC, Azusa Pacific, Biola, all had film programs that I was interested in. I ended up deciding on LA Film School. Ended up regretting it later on, but that's a whole nother topic. But when I moved out here into temporary housing with the purpose of getting a place then, but started school within a month after when I got here.
Okay.
I did the whole school thing. And really during school, like when I came to school, I didn't know what I actually wanted to do. Like I was like, I want to work in film and probably something kind of technical, but like what the actual jobs on a film set are. Like I knew that gaffers dealt with wires, but like that was it. Like that was literally the extent of my knowledge. Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
basic.
Well, and I didn't even know that there was only one gaffer on a set. Like that was the whole thing that I didn't even know.
How many gaffers do we need on this
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
Craigslist posts. I
I
need like
know,
4
I-
gaffers and 2 grips. It's
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah.
You need 4 bosses?
Yeah, yeah.
And 2 people that don't have a boss then? Anyway. But anyway, so it was only through the first kind of quarter at the school that I realized, I narrowed it down to camera, grip, or electric.
Yeah.
And then by the end of school, I had done thesis projects in all 3 of the disciplines and realized that it was definitely grip or electric. It was not camera. Looking back, I actually probably would have done better career-wise in camera.
Why
But
so? Why do you say that?
I feel like for somebody that's very technical-minded and very nerd-minded,
Yeah.
that's not a word, but I just
Yeah.
made it one.
Yeah.
Camera is definitely
It's computer now.
yeah, you're operating a computer.
Yeah.
And also just there's so much more to know. There's so much more to know about a camera than there is about any individual piece of grip equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Even like as a whole,
Absolutely.
like as much as I want to be nerdy about grip, at a certain point
There's a stop point there.
there's a stop point.
Yeah.
Like it's it's interesting and I feel like when I'm saying that I'm slightly demeaning grip, but like I think the part that grips the part where grips go farther in terms of like excelling in their careers is not the knowledge part of what everything is, like knowing that 3/16 is the size of the Allen wrench.
Right.
That is a speed wrench.
Yeah.
Or knowing the exact diameter of the inner and outer wall of speed rail, or how
Yeah.
much weight it can hold, all those things.
Right.
The part where you excel in grips is the onset behavior of knowing when to shut up, knowing when to step in,
so
knowing how to work with
much.
people. Like
So
that part,
much.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
going back though, but if I had done camera, I probably could have gotten farther in my career.
Yeah.
By
I
this
can
point
see
or
it.
whatever.
And become a DP probably. I mean, if you
Potentially,
if you
if I wanted to,
potentially, yeah,
but like I
yeah.
don't really feel like my skill sets. I am a supporting player
Yeah.
versus a lead.
Yeah.
I
No,
like
I
to I like
got
to
you.
lead in my own way, but
Yeah.
I like someone else to be the one with the creative vision
Right,
and all that
right.
stuff. So
You know what? And I think that is so on point, Dwight, because it's a personality-based business, and for
Yeah,
you
oh,
to
yeah.
have enough self-knowledge to know I am not the manager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a key support player.
yeah,
And I think that that's a good description.
yeah,
there's a person like me who is not proficient in that, but I'm actually a pretty good manager.
Yeah.
I was made a manager even before I was in this business
Yeah.
without the education, just because I could
Yeah.
organizationally handle it and personality wise handle it. You know,
Yeah.
you are dealing with individuals.
Yeah.
You're dealing with workflow. You're dealing with a lot of issues.
Yeah.
That's sort of where I stand out. And then having some sort of business acumen too.
Yeah.
Not to begin with, but you can at least work into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that self-knowledge that you're talking about is missing in a lot of people, quite frankly, and you're very lucky to be able to have that.
Yeah, I'm happy that I made that observation, because people that want to be DPs, want to be directors, want to be producers,
Yeah.
it costs a lot of yourself. Like
Oh.
you put a lot of work and time and just the resources that you have, they go into those things. And if they don't pay back with
Yeah.
a career,
Yeah.
like you end up, I don't want to say deflated, but like that's kind of the word that comes to mind, is
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
you come out of that with more knowledge that like maybe that's not for me, but
But you know what? That really is a very good point. A director of photography, somebody who's at the top of their game, they get sucked dry on set. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing left at
well,
the end
and
of the
it's
day.
not even just the onset part. Like the onset part is definitely draining.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just getting there,
Getting there.
because
Yes.
you don't like show up on set, do a really good job as a grip, and somebody comes up to you and says, you know what, you should be a DP. Like that's not the way it works.
Right.
You take a bunch of free jobs. You get people to do projects just so you can shoot them.
Yes.
And you probably end up like self-funding the camera rentals just to be shooting with a better camera.
Oh, it's going to take a long time to
Yeah.
come back up to level.
Yeah. And so it's, I applaud everybody that does it and succeeds at it.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think this is a personality business. I think knowing yourself is one of the most important things you can do in the business.
Yeah.
And knowing what you're good at and what you do.
Yeah.
And I think you demonstrate a lot of that. And I think to an incredible amount of thinking through getting out of the business, because no one does that, as you know.
I
You
mean,
know?
there's an old joke about film, is that it's like jail.
Oh.
Everybody's talking about doing when they're going to get out and how they're going to get out.
Yeah.
But it's jail. Nobody gets out.
Everybody can tell you. Everybody can tell you how they got in. Nobody can tell you when they're getting
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So it really is a trap for. I think it's a trap if you feel like you are not making any upward mobility movement. I think that's really how it feels.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because it's no surprise we talk beforehand about what we're going to talk about, but one thing we talked about was the
Dwight,
business.
shh, don't
Oh,
give
I
away
spoiled the
TV
magic.
secrets.
I'm
These
not
are
actually
TV
in the blue
secrets.
void. Goodness. The business versus working, and it's like being successful as a key grip, as a grip, could look like becoming a key grip, or it could look like just being a grip but owning a lot of rental gear.
Yeah.
And renting that to the people you work for,
Yeah.
which then supplements your income. But it's like, that's totally not,
Well, take it from a person who followed that path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The thing I learned is when you buy gear
Yeah.
and you rent gear,
yeah,
you're a business.
yeah,
If you're on set lighting,
Yeah.
you're a gaffer.
Yeah.
They're two entirely different things.
Yeah.
I may get a lot of gaffer work because I own gear,
Yeah.
which is good. I may make more money than I do just being a gaffer because I bought a lot of gear. That's good.
Yeah.
But they are two separate
Different-
things.
different
Yeah,
things.
you're not marrying those two things
Yeah,
together. Now you came out. Tell me when you first got out here, and you came out with a friend, and then he went back, and you were out here in Los Angeles all alone.
Yeah.
I remember my first times. Of course, I was a little older, and I did have a job when I came out
Yeah.
here. So for me, it wasn't like that introduction wasn't a big
sure.
crisis thing. But tell me a little bit about that time. What it was like intersecting it at the first time.
So when I first moved out here, I had the beautiful crutch of school. Like, because I was going into a class with, I want to say either 30 or 60, bad memory, other people in my class. Like I had an instant group of people to associate with, and we did the whole school thing. During school is when my career actually started. In that halfway through the program that I did, which was a year long, you work on a thesis project of people that are just about to graduate. So they get their crew from underclassmen, basically. And one of the jobs I worked, or one of the thesis projects I worked on, they had hired a key grip and a gaffer off of Craigslist. So that they had somebody that was more experienced than just film students kind of leading the lighting department. And I got along super well with them. They saw that I kind of knew what I was doing and could learn. And then, probably like a month or two later, or maybe just a couple weeks later, I got a call from them. Hey, we're working on a pilot. It's an overnight thing, but we need somebody, and it pays $100 or whatever it was. Do you want to come out? And I had just bought a really expensive computer at the time, and was literally looking at my receipt when they called. So I was like, yeah, I'll be right there.
That's a great motivator.
Yeah. So I went and I worked with them, and then that job led to another job with them, and then school got back in the way and everything. But then once I graduated, I let them know that I was available full time, and I worked on a job with them right out of school that was as an electrician, which was my only job as an electrician, and doing that whole feature as an electrician. My next job was as a grip.
Yeah.
And I was having enough fun doing the other stuff that at some point we were up in the desert and I was carrying sandbags around. And actually, I remember now that it was in the same town that is the Wild West town in Westworld, or at least parts of Westworld.
Oh, cool.
But like I was walking around literally just carrying sandbags in the desert. And I had this thought to myself of, there's nothing else I would rather be doing than what I'm doing right now. It was that it was like, okay, I'm gonna do grip. I'm gonna stick on that side and I'm gonna do that stuff. Socially though, after school, there was still like a few years of interacting with the people from school and them being my kind of social base. I met a few people and started hanging out with a few people that I met on set, but not a ton. And I would say that in general, my social world actually shrank a bunch after leaving school. It kind of tapered off.
You were more isolated.
Yes, I was much more isolated because it's kind of depressing to think about now, but it's history. I wasn't putting forth the effort to really, follow up with people and do stuff with them.
Yeah.
And so like very quickly, I was mostly working and going home and sleeping and,
You're just being a regular crew guy.
Yeah. But like without that social, without spending time with people and all that stuff.
Yeah, and you're a more social person.
Yeah,
That's for sure. You know what? Hold the next thought. We're going to go to a break right now,
Awesome.
and we will be right back. Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. We pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. And we're back here with Dwight Stone, the grip nerd, one of my favorite people. And we're talking about right now his experience coming out to LA. And one thing that we just sort of left with is that you're a much more social person. I'm sure had a much more, colorful social life back in Pennsylvania where you came from. And sort of that toughness of being out in LA and coming here. And friendships are not as easy to kindle. There's a lot of great people out here.
Yes.
There's a lot of really nice people and people that were interested in you do. But we're also sort of isolated by the size, I think, of LA, you know?
Yeah. There's the amount of people you meet over even the course of just working a year. It's crazy.
It's incredible.
Because like each different job, you know, minimum crew size of any like reasonable size production, it's like 30 people. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
You know, and you know, if you only work with them one day, you're lucky if you learn like 10 names. You know what I mean? Of people you didn't previously know. The problem is you do another job with them like a month later and they recognize you. It's this whole weird like we worked together before, something, you know, or like they, or worse, they know you. And they're like, hey, Dwight. And you're like, and I wear on, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to touch the mic. On my headset, I have my name on my headset. So some people will come up and just say hi as if they know me. And they've just read the name off my thing, but I'm stuck there sitting like, George? Sure.
I've sort of gotten a whole thing with it. Number one, I've realized a long time ago, I'm not remembering all these people. It's just not in my DNA. You know, I go, now one thing in my favor is I pretty much remember a face. So I can identify, I go, I know we've worked together, where was it? And sometimes you really surprise yourself and go, whoa, that was 9 years ago I'm remembering your face. You know. Stuff like that, but you don't, and you have wonderful set relationships with those people, you know, but there's no real relationship.
You can have.
Yes. I mean, generally for me, I've worked with somebody, that's our whole relationship. That's where the friendship kind of starts and stops, I guess. We're not going to call each other personally. We may be of, you know, different interest in almost everything, but our interest is to set together.
But I mean, like, there were plenty of people that I like was interested in being friends with outside of work, and like I would make some effort, but like the fact that there's so many people means that you almost feel weird sometimes investing a bunch up front. Because if they're not investing that much
back,
then you just feel kind of weird because
you feel like you're a little desperate.
But it's like, so you end up with, I felt like I ended up with a whole bunch of people that I knew, none of which I knew really well. And so like you kind of get, I'm very much into video game, or very much into board games, but also video games kind of previously. And I felt like my friendship meter was like full-ish, but like it was with a bunch of individual small little bumps instead of with nice deep individual things.
In other words, somebody who knew like more about you, knew all the different assets and facets. Instead, and this is very much like it is for me too, you're intersected on different little work areas. You know what I mean? Or areas of interest. And I think that is the LA experience. I don't think it's unique to our industry. I think coming out here, if you say have kids, right, and the kids are in some private school, I can assure you, people are going to develop relationships within their kid going to this school with other people whose kids go to that school. That's just going to be the way it is. You know, it's not because you grew up together and went to the same high school. You know, it's not like that, and they know you on those levels. I just think that's the experience, and like I told you when we were talking out there too, I've had people in complete different industries move out to LA and say, you know, I meant to make friends out here, but after 5 years, I really have made no real close friendships. But when I moved back to Chicago, immediately I was, you know, with meeting new people, and we were friends. And
the big kind of turnaround for me socially happened probably 5 years ago around, where I kind of realized that I was like, I need to stop like just being okay with my situation not being great, And I really need to just start putting the work into making something happen. Now, maybe that's not really a thing about the industry or about LA or whatever, but like I got to a point where I was very much like, you know what, let's make board game nights happen. And like it was really a struggle and it was really a fight, you know, trying to get people to show up because
I remember that, and just take it from me. I looked at that. That looks like fun.
Yeah.
But it's 40 miles and 2 hours away.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes. You have the north-south divide. You have the Orange County LA divide.
For sure.
You have the east-west divide up
Yes,
in LA.
very much
where
so.
like I have some friends that like I'm part of a relatively big board game group that's probably like 15 to 20 people.
Right.
And we meet regularly at a guy's house in Inglewood.
Yeah.
And like we start at 5 o'clock on a Friday, which going from my house above downtown
Oh, you're
to
in the
Inglewood,
thick
it's like
of it.
it's like an hour to get there.
Yeah.
But like I really value that experience, and so I do it.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, somebody posted an event where the guy lives in Hollywood, and the event was in Santa Monica, and it was going to start at like 8 o'clock or whatever. And he's like, "That's like nightmare level traffic for me." And I'm like, "It's not terrible." And like, if you care about it, like,
Then you,
you know, do
Then
it.
you
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
But you know, it takes that extra amount of interest
yeah,
to actually do that.
yeah,
You know, I get home Friday, you know, or whatever night, you know, if
Yeah.
I have the next day off or whatever. We call it the Laguna Bubble. I'm in Laguna Bubble. I'm not even going to go to the store that I have to get in the car to go. I'm going to walk wherever
Yeah,
I go.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and my wife and I talk about this all the time. And she does not work outside the home. You know what I mean? So she's really in the Laguna Bubble.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. But you do, and I think that's a tendency of Southern California, is you get very defined to where you're at, and that's where you make your
Yeah.
stand. That's where you do most of the things.
Yeah.
We are in an industry, however, that takes us throughout California.
I live where I live because it's at the intersection of two major freeways that take me over all of LA except for the west side. Because
Right.
you're only close to the west side if you live on the west side.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know what? I may be repeating myself for some of the viewers here, but we were talking about that. Living in Orange County,
Yeah.
many times you can get someplace quicker in LA living down here than you can going from west to east.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or north to south.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going directly there.
Yeah.
You know, so no, and once again we're back to, I think that the crux of it. It's not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
LA is not.
And that was LA not being an easy place to live for a different reason, property values, which I'll get
Oh,
back to in a
yes.
second.
Yeah.
And also just getting back to the kind of career trajectory, I also kind of switched over from living to work to working to live. And the idea of working to live when you spend more of your day working than you do living,
Yes.
it just didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm really interested in is the crafts and all sorts of fabrication, wood, metal, leather. This is,
Well, I was going to say you are our first guest with a pocket protector.
well,
And,
yes, well.
and for the grip nerd, I think
Yeah.
it's entirely appropriate.
But I mean, like I'm, you know, having a shop for me is something that like I really want to be able to just make stuff, and like the idea of paying the amount of money you would have to pay to get a property that has a space with a workshop, compared with if you move anywhere else in the country, like it's crazy.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
And so that was the other kind of aspect to wanting to move.
So it's a quality of life
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it sort of comes down to. And I learned coming down here to intersecting, and like I said, I was a different case coming in. And I honestly was old enough and had enough experience in business to
Yeah.
look at it more of a business proposition.
Yeah.
I think that is what, and personality-wise, I mean, I'm more of a lone wolf. You know, people wouldn't think that about me
Yeah.
to begin with, but it's really is I'm much more private than I appear to be.
Yeah.
You know, and that was sort of okay not to have anybody know too much about me.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
it
yeah.
just was. It was more of a comfort thing.
Yeah.
You know, But in being in business and looking at it, I looked at this area in this way, which it is.
Yeah.
You probably look at it somewhat the same, but for different reasons, is that I was here and in the two counties of Los Angeles and Orange County, okay, there was 4 times the population than the state I came from.
Oh, yeah.
Now, economically, for a guy like myself, then middle-aged, 40
Yeah.
years old, I looked at that and I go, you know, this is a cherry-picking garden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That if I want to hustle and get out there and do any field,
Yeah.
whatever I put my mind to and I put my my energy into, I know I'm going to have a certain amount of success.
Yeah.
Not go to the top, not do anything, but I can go in there and really make a dent. That did prove out for me. That kept me very interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kept me almost fascinated where I don't want to go anywhere else than what this economy is right here.
Yeah.
You know? So there's different motivations. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And I think your values are better than mine, to tell you the truth. I think you actually have a more level, realistic, quality of life point of view doing what you're doing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Than a lot of people do. Most of us are here living to work,
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
And I get it. I love it. I do it myself. But I also think there is a big piece that you miss. And one thing, just in talking about property and stuff, it is about being able to get the assets and build some wealth for yourself too.
Yeah.
I think it's a very difficult thing to build wealth in Southern California.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're making some really bulko bucks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Which there are people out there.
They're out there. We just don't hang with
Yeah.
them.
No. Yeah. They're not. In
Or
our
they're not
circles.
hanging with
Yeah.
us. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
So now, as you've gone on, and I remember it was so poignant that Facebook post that you made. How long? And you said like even into 5 years you were started thinking of a thing. But wait, I jumped ahead of myself because I want to talk to you about what was your invention? The ladder. What did you call that?
I developed a clamp for the grip industry, which is a very small market. That was originally called the one-step ladder clamp, or the one-step ladder clamp, which later kind of got abbreviated to the nerd clamp, which is frankly a much better moniker.
Yeah.
And it's a very specific tool for a specific situation that happens a lot on set, and I was just not happy with the way that it was currently being done, which, to be a little technical, which I'm pretty sure I can be because this is called the Applebox.
Anybody watching this is a nerd already.
Yeah. So oftentimes people will put a hi-hat on top of a ladder
to
achieve a high-angle shot without having to rent a crane or whatever else.
Sure.
But there were probably 3 common ways to do it. You would just stick the hi-hat up there and ratchet strap it into place, usually with 2 or 3 ratchet straps, which put weird stresses on the ladder that it's probably not designed for, and also didn't really mechanically lock it in to my kind of desire. There was the C-clamps or Cardellini's heads and arms, where you would actually clamp it on, but you were clamping in a bunch of ways that were really not meant to be
odd angles and stuff. Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, even though a lot of those methods were very secure and still kind of worked, they all took a lot longer than I felt like it should take or it could take. And they also made a lot of protrusions that would come out of the top of the ladder, so that when the operator would climb up, they would have to be climbing around some things.
Right.
And it didn't seem super safe. But the thing I made started out as just 2 pieces of flat strap with a hole in each of them and a bolt that went through. And I basically just sandwiched the hole in the hi-hat, in the bottom of the hi-hat, and the hole in the top 2 rungs of the ladder, and I clamped it, and it worked. And so I worked on making a design for that could be, just tightened with a knob and would, be easy to manufacture. I made 2 batches of them myself and sold them just direct person to person.
Yeah.
Made a video to advertise it and kind of spread it around on social media a little bit. And then at some point, longer story, much shorter. Norm's Studio Equipment is now manufacturing them, as is Modern Studio Equipment.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Do you get a little piece of that?
That's the long part of the story that I'd rather not go into. You could do a whole show about creative, like, inventions in the industry.
Yeah.
I didn't patent the thing at all.
Right.
Biggest reason was there's no way that even if I sold one to every single grip
Yeah.
in the world, okay, maybe in the world I would make it back, but like I would not make back the money it would cost to do the patent.
Yes.
Like it's just
I
it's not worth it.
totally understand.
And even if I did patent it, pretty much anybody can figure out a way to make something that accomplishes the same goal, but is
Yet
different
it's
enough.
Different in the patent. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if they don't, am I really going to put the money forward to actually, pursue a patent case? It's just,
No.
So anyway, that being
But
said,
Dwight, I think that brings up just a really good point. You know what? We're going to go to break, but I want to come back with this point about equipment and about inventing equipment because I think it's important. So we will be right back.
Burnie's workshop is fantastic. Burnie's workshop is awesome. Burnie's workshop is insightful.
Burnie, in one word, passionate maybe. You can tell he really cares a lot.
Burnie is a badass.
He's a great teacher. He has great stories, and I would recommend this to anyone. Not only someone like me who's starting day one, but I feel that in any profession, as you sharpen your sword, it always gets sharper.
I think the best thing about this is the access to understanding how to run your business, how to actually be in this filmmaking industry and make money at it. Coming to this workshop, I think, is what actually gets you the tools to understand how to do that, how to get out there and sell yourself.
I thought that was really cool. I thought, he knows all the tricks in the book, and he knows how to show that to us and actually demonstrate it so we actually know what he's talking about.
I really like the hands-on experience. That's something that you don't find a lot. That's something you have to go on set a lot to just appreciate.
I know this is lighting seminar, but it's not only talk about lightings. He also share his business experience, personal experience, and guide us to what we should do, what kind of personality we should have in this business.
His stories, I think that kind of say everything, all in a few example stories that he gives out from time to time.
I would recommend this workshop to anybody who's just brand into the industry, people who just don't know the swing of it. A lot of the stuff they don't teach you in film school.
I deal with a lot of freelancers every day, a lot of peers that I went to school with, a lot of professionals in the field, and they all need to take this class because it puts you on the next level, on the next playing field.
Burnie's a great guy. Burnie's really authentic. Like everything he learns, everything he teaches, the way he handles himself, the way he deals with other people, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. Someone I've never come across before in the industry, and someone I hope to emulate and hope that there are more people like him out there that can help.
And we are back with a head grip nerd, Dwight Stone, brother.
Ed.
Once again, bump me.
Boom.
All right, loving it. Hey, and we were just talking about you and an invention that you have done within our industry, and it was give me the name of it.
The Nerd Clamp.
Nerd Clamp, and that was to mount a camera on top of a ladder in a more safe, more secure way.
Yeah.
Which was nice. And we were talking and came up, and I've had some experience in this too.
Yeah.
Not on making a product, but a different type of product.
Yeah.
It is a very, very, very low margin business, even though everything's expensive, And it's really not a big enough market with really very little distribution, especially when you talk about grip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look back at somebody like, because the only thing I think is that they're a master of it, and it's like any grip company. Some products you like of theirs. There's other products you prefer another manufacturer for.
Sure.
But is Matthews.
Yeah.
They are probably the only grip company, that has gone out there and really got sort of worldwide market penetration.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of Ed, who runs it, owns it there. his son Tyler, who's coming, he's very into the business
Yeah.
as well. But that's almost a lifetime achievement of doing something like that. That's not just a quick way. You look at companies like KinoFlow and Airy.
Yeah.
Chimera maybe has made, all three of those have made some, worldwide distribution. Mole certainly has, but that's not a big group.
Well, and not just that, but they're all electric.
Well, those are electric, but the grip is, Matthews is the only one in grip, you know?
But all the money, like when it comes to rentals and stuff, all the money is in electric.
Oh, not in grip.
Like that
you give the grip away to rent the electric.
Yeah, yeah.
In my business, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I have my trucks. They have a great grip package. And it's got 12 by 8 by 6 by. You got all the stands, high rollers, C-stands, sandbags, everything.
Yeah.
It's so I can sub-rent them an M18.
Yeah.
Or sub-rent them a Sky Panel.
Yeah.
The grip eventually makes money, but it's a long haul.
Yeah.
You never know when you are actually making money because you're buying more grip all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that must have been a tough lesson to learn.
It was really intellectually, emotionally encouraging to actually put it in people's hands and then hear back from them later, like, oh, we used it on set the other day, it was great.
Yeah.
Like, or just the other day, somebody saw my backpack that has my kind of moniker on it, and they were like, oh, you're the guy that makes the nerd clamp.
Yeah.
And like that, like my heart just like warms, just
Sure.
And so it's like it's great, but like
There's
very quickly I was like, I'm not making any money at this. I've had a couple different ideas for different things that I think would be really great, but to get the volume you would need and
Very
the
tough.
amount, it's not
Very tough. And I've had discussions with sales managers and stuff of some of the companies that I've mentioned before. And at one point, from a very smart guy, came by and says, when we started, there wasn't anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you you look at a Mole, you look at an Airy who started 100 years ago. Let's face it, they were an industry innovator, leader.
Yeah.
You've got companies like KinoFlow that Frieder came up with a very unique lighting system. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was a system.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a one-off.
Yeah.
Type deal.
And we're being lit entirely by
and
it right
now all
Yeah.
these are Kinos. We're lit entirely a room full of Kinos right here. But when he was doing that, there wasn't a bunch of manufacturers that were trying to come out with fluorescent things. He told me that he had developed one and then it sat in his garage for like 3 months because he was busy.
Yeah.
And then came back to it and then developed it more on Barfly and all that. So his point was this, is that in this market today, where you've got manufacturers from all over the world, and even take out China, because China is such a disruptor, it's hard to even talk about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But you've got people in Germany, you've got people in Turkey, you've got people throughout Europe and Asia, that are developing new lighting products and stuff through LED.
Yeah.
Most are not going to survive.
Yeah.
It is just that tough. And, for a lot of companies, and this is another one that I heard, I probably, because of the story, better not mention who it is, but a very well-known LED manufacturer, let me put it that way. The guys who invented that had outside money come in.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the outside money, as it became more and more successful, they kept bringing money in. They almost worked these guys totally out of their whole deal because the money people now owned it.
Oh.
They owned the majority of it.
Yeah.
In other words, here's your success. Okay, now you got success. Now you're selling a lot of stuff. Now your orders are going up by 30,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you're losing market share. Well, we better bring more money in.
Yeah.
So now they own less of it. So you end up with a very small piece, even if it is successful.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm just saying
it's hard.
That is the real world.
Yeah.
That is what's going to happen to you. And part of that is because we have a small business, and you know, the big boys are gonna,
Yeah.
they're gonna eat most
Yeah.
of the cake.
Yeah.
You know.
Going back to the thread that I kind of like the idea of keeping the whole way through.
Yeah.
Me leaving, the kind of where that came to a head was at some point I made the decision that like I am going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. When am I going to do it? And
Yeah.
I kind of basically had a conversation with my roommate of like, are you ready to move out now? And then I thought about it, I was like, I'm not really ready to move out now. I'm going to do one more year. And make as much money as I can in that year to help me in the transition.
Yes, smart.
And we're going to move out in December. And that, you know, he was like, that timeline's great, let's do it. And so this past year has been my, you know, everything I'm doing to, you know, make the transition into my next career easier. And the sad thing is that I started this year off, the first job I worked this year, was a TV show that was the best family I've ever had, like the best work family I've ever had, to the point where like every once in a while I will think about one of them on set. Like there was a female director, like, and she walked by. It was a show that I'm not normally on.
Right.
And I caught her out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, "Oh, is that ALB? Like the one director we work with?" And no, it's not. But all of a sudden, I was like, I really miss her. Like, I don't even know her that well.
Yeah.
And I really miss being around. And so it's like, it's a super shame that I found that right as I'm leaving. But
Right.
it's also like, even if I worked on that show 24/7, I would still have the same issues that I had.
Absolutely. And I think they're all valid.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. I think it's not just a like, oh, I'm not making it here. I don't like it. I hate the traffic. It's not like that. You're thinking at a much deeper level and really assessing it, which I applaud you for. Was there a situation or an incident, and maybe not even specifically, but maybe a culmination of things that came to you that day that you made the decision you were going to move?
There was never really a day. I don't make decisions that fast.
Yeah.
I make decisions over like decisions like this, I make over a much larger time scale.
Yeah.
Like I really, you know, yeah. So there was definitely never any like, you know, having a really bad day on set and coming home and being like, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really thought out and made correctly.
Yeah.
Now, your family must be thrilled you're coming back.
Yeah, I don't want to say I gave it to my mom as her birthday present last year, but actually, I don't even know it was her birthday.
That way.
But I really I called her up, I called them up for something, and like I was just really excited to tell her because I knew that she had always not really liked me moving cross country and not being able to be around. Mostly because she wants me to fix her Roku, but that's another story.
Well, that's see, you're valuable.
But yeah, both my parents and my sister are very happy that I'm moving back.
That's great.
I'm going to be moving in with my parents first because that's a great way to land.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be able to fix all the tech in the house, Mom, I swear. But yeah, the hope is then to move out and find a good happy medium between moving back to where I'm from and moving someplace that's a little bit different but still close enough that I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's do this. Tell me, and off the top of your head, you know what I mean? Maybe not too much detail, but just kind of some bullet points. You know what I mean? If somebody, because I know there's plenty of people thinking about moving to LA. There always is. If somebody is thinking about what would some advice you would give them to increase the productivity of their journey?
I've had a pretty standard bit of advice that I've given people for a while as to how to start out in the business, because you get that question a lot, like, how do I get started in the business? And my standard bit of advice for a long time was save up enough money that you can live out here for a year, take as many free jobs off of Craigslist as it takes to start getting paid work. And if you're not making progress after a year, like if you're not getting called by better and better people, like if you don't sense that upward momentum, like I don't want to be discouraging, but like it might be because the business isn't right for you. Like it might be because you're not learning on set the way you need to be learning to be able to excel.
Yeah.
You know, And so that's kind of been my advice for a long time. I still believe that for the most part. I used to not be a fan of any film school. I'm definitely a fan of like four-year degreed film schools.
Okay.
Because even if you don't end up in film, like right now, I really wish I had a degree. I really wish I had a degree for job hunting. Like just having that on my resume feels better.
Right.
But like, you know, I'm confident that things will work out well. But if you're moving out here, you know, doing a 4-year film program is not terrible. You're going to have some debt, which is going to make the whole living out here and working your way into the business is going to be a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But, you know, the other thing I would say is one of the mistakes I made when I first started working was I started moving up the ladder really early on, as in I started getting jobs besting for people, and I started getting jobs key gripping really early on, and it seemed great. Like I was like, wow, things are going awesome.
I'm running to the top.
Yeah. And then I realized that I was running to the top of the smaller hill.
Yeah, right. Got you.
And when people that I had previously been working with started getting in the union, well, they couldn't really call me because I was normally keying, and it's hard to step off of a job as a key to take a single day somewhere else. And people knew me as a key, and so making that transition was really hard. I had to purposely just start turning down keying jobs to just work as a grip, you know, meet new key grips that would get me, you know. And then even once I got in, the job I got in on, I was actually key. It was an out-of-state job, but they paid to fly us, so it all counted here. And I was a key, so people still didn't know me as a grip, as a union grip.
Yeah.
And so what I would say is work on as many jobs as you can and try and work your way in with people that are better. But make sure that when you're looking to actually join the union, that you're in a position to actually do that, and that you're not backing yourself into a world that you can't, you know, reverse out of.
Yeah. No, I think that's really wise. And, you know, I would say just to add to that, if you're out here for a year and you're in a certain area of the industry, think about a lateral, you know, because because I'm a big believer in this, Dwight, is that we find our roles on set based on our personality.
Yeah.
In other words, if you are somebody who works alone, as creative, as a good eye, but doesn't need a lot of people around you sort of guiding your workflow, well, you ought to be an editor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there you are in your dark room, and you're able to make creative choices, experiment a little bit, you know what I mean? And then come out with a product that somebody can refine a bit, and really everybody's happy with it. I'd say sometimes that people just get in the wrong department.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually, if I could change one major thing going back, it is I got very interested in special effects, like on-set special effects pretty early on, and I didn't pursue it enough. There was definitely a part where I was doing some other jobs, doing special effects, and having a lot of fun doing it, but like I just didn't fully throw myself into it, and so it was always just that thing on the side. Yeah. So.
If you would have, it might have been a whole different.
Yeah. We would very potentially be in a very different place right now.
Yeah, we'd be showing blow-ups right now. on our set. Well, buddy, listen, believe it or not, that's an hour, my man.
Wow, this was good.
Thank you so much for coming on, Dwight. You know, we've been good friends over all this. You were an OC gaffer too, and you know, we didn't even cover that. But we've been such good friends all this time. We will remain good friends no matter where you're at. But thank you so much for coming on with that.
Thank you for inviting me, Burnie.
Usually I say, tell somebody how to get a hold of you. If you want to do that, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you can email me, Dwight@gripnerd.com.
Dwight@gripnerd.com.
Yep, gripnerd.com.
That's awesome, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll be staying in touch, my friend.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we'll see you next week on Burnie's Applebox. Cut. That's a wrap.